Monogam-ish contains content intended for mature audiences. The views expressed here are for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, Ishes! Welcome to Monogam-ish.
How you doing?
I'm Justina.
And I'm Kenji.
And
we're
Monogam-ish.
Today,
I know.
we have somebody from out of town. Our
We
first
do.
out-of-town guest.
Our first out-of-town guest. We flew him up.
Oh, yeah.
It was worth it. We
Oh,
said,
yeah.
you know what? We like what he's doing. We want to support him. And so...
Well, thank you so much for taking me out here. I
Yes.
couldn't be happier
Absolutely.
that I came.
So
I know.
we have Mr. Dillon Birdsall with us today.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, and you didn't even mess up my last name.
No,
Well
hell no.
done.
We-
It's a big thing with my last name. Everybody says
Really?
Birdsaw or Birdcaw. Very weird.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a big thing throughout my life. Also, people spell my name wrong all the time. They add an extra I for some reason.
That's so funny
That
because
is so-
Drew did that.
That's
It was-
so
When
funny.
we were booking your ticket, it was Dillion.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't think that there's an I in there. I think
Well,
it's just Dillon.
Apparently, like somebody at the Apple factory hates me or somebody who is named Dylan, because in Apple phones there is an extra I in the autocorrect of Dylan.
Really?
For whatever reason.
Oh,
I don't
That's
know
hilarious.
why.
God.
But every friend who I've ever had who had an iPhone always got an extra I in
Dillion.
it. And I was just like,
Dillion.
dude, we've been friends for like 10 years. You know that's not my name, right?
You're still messing up my
Yeah,
name,
yeah.
right?
So
Oh
Dylan
my
is joining us from, at the moment, Albuquerque.
Yeah, currently Albuquerque.
But it sounds like you've been I want to say world traveler, but more of a country traveler. You've been all around the country.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty lucky throughout my life. We didn't have a military family, but my whole thing with my family was like every 7 years they were like, all right, we got to move. They just got bored. They were just like, okay, we're going to go to a new location. So I was born in Connecticut and don't remember that very much. I only lived until I was 3. Then 3 to 11 was Maine, which was an amazing place to live and
Really?
grow up. Yeah, it was like living in a Norman Rockwell painting. Like seriously, I lived in a town of less than 1,000.
Oh, wow.
Everybody who lived in this town was called Kingfield. They worked at this place called Sugarloaf, which was this big skiing resort that like everybody worked at.
okay.
It was like the big backbone of the economy there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But it also left people a lot of time to go like hunting and fishing and do outdoorsy stuff.
Oh,
and-
especially because everybody's just skiing, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I was doing skiing from a very young age, and I was like a double black diamond when I was like 8, I think. Or
Wow.
doing double black diamonds when I was 8.
Wow.
But after a while, my family was just like, it's fucking cold up here, and we want to move. And my family's from New York, but they didn't want to stay in the Northeast. We'd been going to Florida for a bunch of years for vacations and stuff like that, so we decided to move to Florida. And then when I was living in Florida,
Oh, my God.
I got the opportunity to live in Japan as a
Oh,
foreign
wow.
exchange student.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
That's
my gosh. That
awesome.
is so cool.
Yeah, and then my job brought me to New York, and then Denver and Albuquerque. So yeah, I've been around. I've been lucky enough to experience a lot of the country
So you lived here in Denver.
for a year. Yeah,
Okay. How long ago was that?
2018.
Oh,
So
wow.
oh,
3
that's
years
not
ago.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. How did you like it?
I liked it a lot. I think there's a lot about Denver that's to be loved, of course, and then there's a lot like obviously the expense has gotten kind of crazy and through the roof here.
Right?
I think that some of the kind of tech broiness of some of the people I've met is maybe not the best. And also maybe
Yep.
the jockishness. It seems like everybody who couldn't make it in sports like eventually moved here.
Right?
And there's nothing
I love
necessarily
that.
wrong with that. It's just that that's not necessarily 100% the type of person I am or
Right.
like usually hang out
Yeah.
with. But I mean, it's a beautiful state, and it has one of the most thriving and beautiful communities for sex positivity that I've ever been in the country. So
Awesome.
Agreed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
I
say
know.
it
We've-
all the time
Right?
that nobody swings like Denver.
Yeah.
no,
This is
you
true.
guys have a really beautiful, really well thriving community that I think other cities should try and emulate. Honestly,
Right. I love that.
I know, right?
I think that because you traveled a lot, it also opens your mind to being less conformed.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's sad that a lot of young people don't get a chance to have an exchange year.
Mhm.
That exchange year was like one of the most formative years of my life. I was from 16 to 17, so obviously you're
Oh, wow.
going through like the height of your hormones, you're doing that stuff, but it made my family stronger. It gave them the first taste of me like going off to college and leaving the nest, so
Mhm.
they got to be better when that eventually happened. It gave me the
Oh,
of course like confidence and intelligence to realize that the world is so much bigger than just the place that you're confined to, that
Right.
people are much more connected and really integral to one another than you would actually really think. And it gives
Mhm.
you a much larger worldview that, sadly, I think a lot of us are lacking, especially in
And-
these current times.
Right? Right?
Agreed.
We've traveled around the world, and my wife is from, the Italy section.
The Italy
The
section.
Italy section. But yeah, whenever we've gone somewhere else and seen different cultures and experienced that, it's just like, wow, something completely different than here.
It's one of the only ways that you can broaden your horizons and actively step in somebody else's shoes. Like,
Mhm.
Right.
you're never going to be 100% part of that culture. Like, I'm never going to be Japanese.
Right.
But I did get a chance to experience Japanese life to the fullest for a year, you know?
Can you
That's
speak
awesome.
Japanese?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I wasn't even very good at it when I could. It's so fucking hard, especially as an American, like trying to learn it. It's like the reverse of our language. So
Mhm.
it's like if you were like, "Hey, can I have your pencil?" It's "Can pencil I have?"
Mhm.
And it's like, all right, so that's already weird. There's 3 alphabets.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yeah, so my grandma was Japanese
Oh, nice.
from Japan, the Hiroshima section.
Oh, okay.
And so, like she used to write out her grocery list, up and down. I'm just going, dude, what the hell is this, Grandma?
Yeah.
And for her to try to teach me just like this little bit, it's like, and you don't get the culture and you don't get anything and you're just from here and you're just going, oh,
No,
man,
I
this is
mean-
completely different.
My grandfather was in the Korean War, and he lived over in Japan for about 3 years. So he brought back a lot of stuff from Japan. Has always been like a big part of our family, and of course, I got really big into like anime and stuff when I was younger, and
Oh,
still
nice.
am really big into it now. But it was always a dream to eventually go there. And then when I was given the opportunity to go there as an exchange student, I was like, absolutely. Like,
Right?
who wouldn't take that opportunity and chance
Right.
to experience something that you've been wanting to do for your entire life? Oh, man, Japan is amazing and difficult and different. It's just different from America
Right.
in a good and bad way.
It's amazing the difference in sexuality there and the
Oh,
way that
yeah.
they treat sex. And I mean,
Well, they're
Especially doing like the anime stuff.
right.
You see the anime shit.
It's very sexual.
Yeah.
well, but I mean, they're running into some issues though because people aren't fucking over there.
That's
Right.
right. That's right.
There's very sexless marriages that happen there.
Yeah, a lot of it is obviously work related. People are working themselves to death and they're kind of forgetting how to live a fun life, a
Mhm.
fulfilled life. And then of course there's the matter of people are finding escapism in their dolls or their anime or their things, and it's fulfilling something for them that having an interpersonal relationship can be really stressful. It can be incredibly difficult for people to open up and express what they want. And if they have an outlet that they can go to, sadly, a lot of them are choosing to take the easier way into
Right.
finding sexual gratification. And I'm not going to fault them for that, but they are running into an issue right now where like children aren't being born, and it's like potentially going to collapse their economy in a couple of years if they
Mhm.
don't actively have more people entering into their society
Right.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they just need bodies to do stuff.
Yeah,
Mhm.
being a documentary guy, I don't know if you've seen the one that that they've been doing on sex on CNN. I can't remember the name of it, but
Maybe.
their very first episode is about Japan
Yeah.
and that very issue.
I remember Vice had a really good documentary about it as well.
Yeah, it's insane to see the differences. So what about your family? Were your dad and mom monogamous? Did they stay married? What?
So my mom and dad have been married for 45 years now.
Wow.
They've been together for
Congratulations.
50 plus. My mom met my dad when she was 18. My dad was 22. And it was like a love at first sight thing. My dad is the
Aw.
only man that my mom's been with. Of course, like any marriage, there have been ups and downs and difficulties and trials and tribulations. But
Right.
at the end of the day, they still love one another in a way that it's weird to see. Honestly, it's so foreign, especially now, to see people who are just like, yeah, no, this is my person.
Right.
And I'm going to work through it in whatever way I can. I know I definitely haven't experienced that. And it's one of those things, it can almost feel hard to live up to it sometimes, or not even live up to it. You're just like, I wonder if I'm ever going to find that because
Right.
ugh.
It's
You
difficult.
know what?
Yeah.
We same thing,
Yeah.
So we had, relationships before this, and we thought they were our person. Obviously, they weren't, you
Yeah.
know? And so now that I found my person and I hear stuff like, oh, we've been together 40 years, my parents have, I'm like, Psh, that's going to be us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is definitely going to be us.
I
He's my
think-
person for sure.
Well, that's amazing. I think anytime that you find that, and I think obviously a lot of people want to find that, right?
Mhm.
But they're maybe not willing to do the work to keep it going. Like
Right.
Yes.
like finding it is difficult in and of itself, but also growing with your partner and kind of really understanding that this isn't like a fixed state. Like there are going to be times where not that you fall out of love with one another, but you're like, I'm stressed, I'm tired, money's tight. Like a lot of things in life are really going against us right now. And it's not that I hate you or what we have, but it's just like, I need you to understand where I'm coming from. And I think a lot of people maybe don't do that.
Right.
Or they haven't been taught how to do that. They don't have a good framework to even see how you would express yourself in an shitty way with your partner and just being like, hey, I need some space. Not because you are a bad person. It's just I need some time to like calibrate myself.
Right.
And especially in this day and age, where just walking away that's the thing.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not doing good. Oh well, I'll go find somebody else.
Well, yeah. It's what's the term? It's like the fallacy of choice or something like that, where it's like it seems like there are so many options, right?
Right.
You open up Tinder, you open up Bumble, you open up any of these dating apps, and you're like, look at all of these available people.
Right.
And it's like, they're not, that's not true. Like, one, the amount of people who are going to swipe right on you are, like, is big, especially for men. Like, it's statistically much harder for us to get a date on a dating app. And two, the number of people you're going to be compatible with on an emotional and physical level is, like, so minuscule.
Yep.
Right?
It's so small.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. Oh my gosh, I love the way you put
It works that way for even the lifestyle. Like I think
Absolutely.
there are some people that go, oh, we can do this. I'm going to go head first and I'm going to fuck you and you and you and you and you and you and let's try it all. Every flavor.
Everything.
And you also,
Everything.
And you also have to remember, like, that person might not want to fuck you.
Right.
Like, it's so easy to think in the way that you're like, I'm going to enter into this new way of living, right?
Right.
And there's just going to be so much dick and pussy. It's just going to be raining from the sky. And it's like, that's maybe not the case. And not only that, you shouldn't want that either. Like, the reason you're getting the lifestyle shouldn't necessarily be because you're like, I want to fuck everything that moves. It should be like a part of it, sure. Like, having a beautiful, expressive sexual relationship, great. But it's a lot more than that. Like, I think it's a privilege whenever I get to have sex. Like, it's
Right.
a big deal to me when somebody is like, hey, I find you attractive and witty enough to sleep with you. So it is physical, but it's never just physical.
Right.
Like, even a one-night stand requires understanding.
And
little
some
bit of
type of connection.
Yeah, connection, communication, all of those things need to be in place before I have sex with anyone.
Right.
I still feel lucky when my wife want to have sex with me. She want to have sex with me every day.
I do.
Thank the
Great.
Lord.
So you are a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, we're trying to be. It's real difficult.
And so is that what your very first documentary was about virginity, and
Yes.
particularly your virginity?
I was living in New York, and I originally went there because I thought I was going to be an actor. That's what my degree is in. And I just discovered that wasn't for me. So I had to, like, make a pivot, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? The reason I was getting into acting because I wanted to be involved in films. Like, movies have always been the thing. Like, they were always going to be a part of my life. They were always the thing that I wanted in my life. So after I was like, I'm not going to be an actor anymore, I had a really beautiful conversation with one of my best friends. And I was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. I'm like, I thought I was going to come up to be an actor. And now I don't want to do that. And I think I have to go back to, like, Florida and figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with myself now. And luckily my friend was like, hey, he'd been up in New York a year before me. So he had met some people who were doing, like, films.
Okay.
Doing a project that he had worked on and he was an actor in. And he was like, why don't you meet with these guys? Because I had this idea in college and I had told a lot of people about it. And I'd be like, wouldn't it be cool if one day somebody made, like, a documentary like that? Like, wouldn't that be cool? And he was like, I told my friends who were in this filmmaking thing about your idea. Why don't you meet with them first before you go back to Florida and see if they maybe want to work on the movie? Like, see if they would maybe like to have that turn into something. And see if you could make it before leaving.
Right.
Take a meeting. And I was like, of course, sure. I'm always open to the idea of talking to anyone. You know,
Okay.
Right.
Really, there's nothing wrong with ever having a conversation. So we had a conversation, and 5 years later, I made my first feature-length film, and it won an award. And
Shout
yeah,
out to
Yeah.
you. Hell yeah.
And what was
I
it
love
called again?
it's V-Card the Film is the name.
Okay.
And yeah, it follows my life over the course of 3 years as I, a virgin, am trying to figure out why I hated being a virgin so much. I felt like such a failure because I had never had sex before. And when I was younger, I was, and thank God I had very close friends and family. I could have so easily fallen into that incel trap
Oh my God.
where it's just like, you know,
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of compassion for those guys. Not what they do, but I understand where they're coming from. Where it's a
Right.
place where you're so depressed and you're so isolated from feeling love for yourself that you can't see it in anybody else. And the only way that you can manifest it is by being an awful person to other people. And that's really what they're doing. And I obviously a lot of people don't like to think of it like that. They just want to pigeonhole them as these awful woman-hating monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And it on the surface, it absolutely looks like that. But I think if you take a step back and have a little compassion and you're like, why do they hate women so much? It's because they feel genuinely really hurt and
rejected.
betrayed by them. And they're afraid of them. Like, I was afraid of women. I didn't realize it at the time.
Really, I was gonna ask you because you seem so open and everything, and so like
Yeah.
to talk to a woman and to just go there, it doesn't seem like you would be like that.
But I was. It was one of those things where my very first instance ever asking somebody out was in the first grade. And her response was terror she looked disgusted when I asked. And I had that happen multiple times throughout my life. I had some awful instances where I had been rejected in a way that was detrimental to my mental well-being.
So not just no, it's okay. More like a and
Oh,
you're like,
I had
Jesus.
somebody actively pull a prank on me and go out with me on a dare.
Oh no.
Oh.
And I found out about everybody knew about it too. It was very humiliating
In
for
school?
me.
It was,
Yeah.
Oh God.
Um,
Was it high school?
middle school?
Oh God. So it's like right when you're getting into the body
and
changing and everything.
Back then, I was of course very angry about it, but now, like, I understand kids are dumb and
Yeah.
they're mean. And
Fucking
that's-
assholes.
Yeah.
Do you think that gender had a role in this? Because it's weird when we hear about incels. It's always
Men. Mm-hmm.
And so, but I know several women. I mean, I have a sister that was, a virgin for a long, long time, like well into her.
Well, I mean, the original
mid-20s.
Incel website was founded by a woman. And the original term was just involuntary celibate. You didn't think that you had found anyone. And of course, it has morphed into what we kind of know as it today as a very hateful and violent organization that has
Yes.
actively killed people before.
Mhm.
And that is never acceptable in any way, shape, or form. For the people who originally get into it, right? They're just looking for people to empathize with them. And they find this group that tells them that they're right, women hate them, and they like them, and that they're accepted and loved there. And even if you know that the organization is awful, look at people who join gangs and all this other
The
stuff.
same thing.
If you have somebody who your entire life you felt worthless, and somebody says you aren't worthless and we actually love you and we care about you, but admittedly we're going to teach you all this awful shit, you're going to step in line with the person who treats you with respect and
Right.
love and care.
Yep, they
That's what
accept
we're
you with
looking
open
like.
arms.
That's what we're looking for from day one. As as children, as babies, before we can even talk, we're looking for your attention, your love, your approval.
So yeah, the awful sad fact of the matter is that these people aren't monsters. They're people who are not getting their emotional needs met. And the only place that they seem to find it is on this awful form that is catering to their worst instincts and is telling them that those instincts are correct. And they aren't at all.
No.
But once again, if you don't have anybody in your life really rooting for you or pulling for you, it's
Right.
very easy to fall in the trap of thinking that, like, okay, well, this is my family now, I guess. Like, they accept me. They understand me.
So you followed through this documentary and you ended up losing your virginity.
I did. Yes. I was watching the movie back is really funny because I didn't realize how much I hated myself.
Oh.
Yeah,
Self-confidence thing.
Yeah, I've always been a bigger person.
Mhm.
I have never fit into the standardized model of what an attractive man would look like, or at least what society has portrayed as an attractive man, right?
Which is so stupid.
Yeah, of course
it's so
it is.
stupid because everybody's different.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, and that's why you
I
should
told
love
my
everybody.
husband, I was like, I picked him up and it was like trying to fit Shaq in a Tesla. And he's like 6. I said, I know he's over 6 foot and you're 6'4".
4, yeah.
And I'm like, his knees were all the way up against the dash and I felt so bad. And I was like, oh my God, I hope hope he fits.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So-
but would suck, you know?
Yeah.
Like, God.
Well, no, I mean, like, obviously, and then, of course, there are men who are short who, I don't know if you guys been following that. There are plenty of men who are under 5'8" who feel really persecuted. Everybody
yeah.
feels persecuted, right?
Yep.
Women feel
Right.
persecuted for not having big boobs or a big
Right.
ass. Everybody has a complex within them. Mine,
Right.
for me, was the idea that because I was a larger gentleman and because I had been rejected so many times in the past, that I was just inherently unlovable. That there was just something deficient in me that I didn't know how to fix and that women would never find attractive. And of course-
my God.
Of course, that's not true, but when you're in your early 20s
Mhm.
and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your love life and you're trying to become a stable person who pays for things and
Right.
all this other stuff piled on top of it, it's so easy to fall into the mire of your own depression. And I still have to fight with that every day. Like, I think I'm hopefully going to make a documentary one day about depression because it's been something I dealt with my entire life. Like, this isn't a thing that necessarily went away. I've just gotten better at recognizing it and potentially counteracting it sometimes. But there are still plenty of times where I think about, like, yeah, jumping in front of that bus wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it?
No way.
Oh.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Even though you're an award-winning documentary filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, my brain's a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's no other way to put it. Like, there are times where even though you know everything is going right for you, you are not going to see that. And it really takes you having a support system, like I said before, that goes, hey, man, we see that you're going through something. We love and care about you. You are more than this. You are loved. You are accepted. And that's the reason why I haven't killed myself yet. It's because I have these amazing friends. I have unbelievable family. Like,
So you felt very nurtured growing up.
absolutely.
I love it. I
Okay.
love
Yeah.
it. Shout out to your friends and family, man.
Thank you.
Because you know what? I meet you and I think you're a fucking awesome dude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Serious.
No, I think a lot of people confuse the confidence, or they think that the confidence is just something that's like inherent, and that's maybe like an armor that you put on sometimes. Like, what's really going on internally is much more difficult and complex than
Right.
anybody has really the time to fully understand.
Right.
Oh my
You
God.
know?
Everybody wears a mask. You
Of
know,
course.
everybody wears a mask sometime or another.
But I think one of the best things that you can do, and this specifically goes back to sexuality as well, is you have to be open about it.
Mhm.
You have to tell people that, like, yes, I've battled with depression. It's totally fine. It's incredibly normal. Actually, I know so many people who have told me privately that they've gone through depression, but they, of course, will not admit it publicly. The more people that know about it and are actively willing to participate in making it normal, much the same way with polyamory and swinging and all these things,
Mhm.
they can't deny it at that point. It's the
Thank-
same thing that
yes.
Harvey Milk said. Like, once they know us, once they know that it's your brother, your sister, your cousin,
Mhm.
they can't hate you anymore because
Right.
they love you.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it goes on with everybody. Like
Yeah.
you said, you know, everybody has some shit that they're, you know, in their mind that they're fucked up about.
Absolutely. Yeah, my dick isn't big enough. My eyes aren't pretty enough. The
Uh-huh.
list goes on. And of course, social media feeds that to you constantly, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's, I
Right.
mean, that's just what social media sadly kind of is now. It's this idea of projecting this perfect version of your life.
Mhm.
Right.
This stylized and idealized version of who you are. But that's not really you. I mean, that's a part of you.
Mhm.
But you're not taking photos of when your car gets a fucking busted tire and you're
Right.
like,
Right.
Yeah.
fucking
Right.
take this for the gram.
Uh-huh.
I'm having an awful day.
Yeah. I can't pay this bill right now.
Yeah.
You
I'm,
know.
I'm about to be evicted from my fucking house. Let's
Yeah.
put this on Facebook.
Yay!
Like, no, like, that's not happening because you need to project like an outward confidence and an outward self. Same way that you would when you go on a date for the first time and you're probably racked with like, oh, is this person gonna like me? I don't know.
Right.
But you're like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, which is so funny because they're going on a date with you, so they obviously like something about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know. Yeah.
So
God.
you ended up meeting this person through the documentary that you lost your virginity to, or how did that work?
So yeah, we had a screening, or I was doing a thing to promote it, and she came to it. She's like, I love the idea of this. I think that you're very interesting. And it was just one of those things where she kind of told me she was in the lifestyle. She was in a polyamorous relationship and an open relationship. And she had also been teaching sexual studies at like NYU. So she
Oh wow.
knew a lot about, it was like one of those things. And I was like, at that time too, I was like, I wanted nothing more than to have a teacher.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
I had done all this research. I like to say, at that time I used to say, I was like, I'm one of the most knowledgeable people about sex that I know who's never had it.
Right.
Like, you know, because in the form of doing the documentary, I'm meeting all these people, I'm talking to all these people, I'm doing all the research to find out more about sexuality, but I still hadn't achieved a vaginal and intercourse sex, you know?
Okay.
So she was like, you know, I think you're very cool and I like you. And I was like, would you like to be the person who takes my virginity? I was very upfront about it. I was like, hey, do you think this would be something that you'd be like amenable to? Like, you know, very business-like. Like, do you think that's something that you'd like to do?
That sounds very BDSM-y.
Right?
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I would like to do that. And I was like, that was really cool. Because it's one, acceptance, but two, it's like, once again, it's having a person to teach you, a person to care, a person to know that, like, I don't have to put on any airs and be like, I'm really good at sex, because I'm clearly not, right? Like, I've never had it before. I don't really know what I'm doing. And it was a wonderful, beautiful experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, it was great. Like,
And was that your first introduction to lifestyle and poly? And
so, yeah, kind of. When she said it to me, like, obviously because I'd been doing research, I'd known what open relationships were. I had been to, I hadn't been to, but a friend of mine and his girlfriend had been to a swingers club in New York.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. But it was so far in the back of my, like, I was like, I need to have sex first before I can be going to sex clubs.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Before you jump, before you jump in the deep end, right?
You know, it's like one of those things where you're like, I mean, that sounds really cool. On the other hand, I would like to experience sex for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I did. And you know what? It wasn't the most earth-shaking thing that has ever happened to me, but it was damn good. And it was a really fun thing. And it was, I could see why people wanted to do it more.
Right. You weren't opposed to having more.
I definitely, and that's the thing. A lot of people, and I know for me as well, I'm a highly sexual person. And that can be a deterrent. Sometimes that can be a thing where, one, especially if you don't know how to vocalize it or verbalize it, it can be very off-putting, of course. And two, that kind of goes back to the same thing that we were talking about before. Like, if you don't have a framework to speak to somebody about what you want sexually and not be a creepy weirdo about it, it's going to be difficult.
Right.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
going to be really hard. You're going
Yes.
to have a really hard time finding somebody who accepts that in you.
Right.
So you need to have a little bit more tact and a little bit more care and compassion for the person listening to it the first time. Of course, now, like, once you've established a safe relationship, you could be then like, I'm gonna let the freak out. I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna see how far this can progress, especially if you find somebody who is equally willing to be a freak with you.
Right.
But but I think where a lot of people go wrong is, and I am no expert by any means, but I think where a lot of people go wrong is they may do that too soon, or they may not vocalize it at all, right?
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
big problem for a lot of people, where they have this deep thing that they want to do, but they are ashamed of it, and they don't feel like anybody will ever understand it. And 9 times out of 10, that fetish is so fucking normal. It's like,
Right.
it's like, dude, I've heard about this like 15 times. It's fine.
Everybody,
Right.
'cause everybody has a thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Of course.
But it's like, you know, it's so personal to them that they're like, oh my gosh. And especially in the lifestyle. Everybody
Absolutely.
everybody has a thing in the lifestyle.
A
Yeah.
kink.
A kink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your kinks are amazing. And of course, there are some kinks that people are not going to want to do. Like,
Right.
I remember the first time a woman was like, I like blood play. And I was like, that is not for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yep.
We draw the line there too.
Yeah, blood and scat.
But there,
Yeah.
yeah, that scat, like dead stuff, kids, of course. Like any of those things are like, or when people want to be like babies, it's like, I'm not going to judge you. Like that is the thing that you're into, and I'm glad that you recognize it in yourself. And I can't wait for you to find a partner who wants to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But the idea of you cutting me and then drinking my blood is not the way that I am going to get hard. Like
Right.
that is not the way that I am going to feel comfortable, and that is not the way that we're going to have a fun sexual interaction. So we don't need to be together, and that's totally. We can be friends. There's nothing wrong with being friends. We don't need to fuck.
Right.
Thank
So you obviously knew your sexuality before you had sex.
Yes.
How do you identify?
I am a cis straight man.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see the beauty in men. I think men can have this amazing physique, amazing body, amazing personality, but there's never been a part of me that's been like, I want to experience what it's like to have sex with a man.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for me physically. But I do have love and compassion for the men in my life. Like, I am deeply in love with all of my male friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love them on a very deep emotional level. But physically, it will never raise the
Right.
flag
Right.
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I don't want to take it anywhere further than that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
But
That's my
it's-
husband.
Yeah, I give everybody hugs. You know,
Yeah.
I'm all over him. Like, dude, you're my boy. Drew, you're my boy. Like, you know, all this. I love you guys, and I'll even tell him that. But you know, when it comes to like that next step, which like, nah,
No,
that
yeah.
doesn't.
I
Yeah,
can-
that
I
does
can-
not fly with me.
I've been in the devil's three-way, as some like to put it. I've of course been in sexual situations in large groups that men were present, but at no point I don't want to be inserting a penis anywhere inside of myself. I don't really want to be touching a penis that isn't mine,
Mhm.
and that's totally fine.
Right.
Right?
100%.
That 1,000,000%.
And also, and I'm sure that you can agree with this, and you can agree with this as well because you're bi. Like, women are just so shockingly good to look at.
Oh.
Like, they're just so.
They are.
They're just.
Oh my God!
Yeah, there's just
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you, Dylan.
Even, and this is, if you're listening, there is somebody out there who loves the way that you look. Like,
Mhm.
you might not think it, you might not think that you fall into the category of what a man would want. I think porn sites have shown us pretty categorically that if you are a body type of any form, there is somebody out there who is masturbating very vigorously to it.
Right.
That is right.
And
I know.
have to remind myself of that sometimes.
That's right.
I love Reddit, and I will get on the subreddit Normal Nudes.
Mm.
And sometimes women will post, you know, I just had a baby and I'm really insecure because now I have a C-section scar, or I have stretch marks, or I have, you know, XYZ. And I have to, and I'll go through the comments and I'm like, wow, everybody's loving her body. And
Yeah.
she's not afraid to put herself out there like that. And it's amazing. It's
Mhm.
empowering. It's one of the main reasons that I fell in love with the lifestyle, was just being nude in front of people for the first time and accepting
Yeah, absolutely.
myself and not being ashamed of.
I'll say this.
What-
We don't know one another very well, but I can't wait to see you naked, if that ever
There you go.
happens.
See, you know, hey, right there with you, man. Every
Like-
fucking night.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, as I said before, with having sex with someone, it's a privilege when somebody's willing to do that with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're willing to take your clothes off in front of someone, be very vulnerable, which all of us are, especially when we're naked,
Mhm.
that is something that you should, like, cherish and accept and understand and be like, oh man, that's really courageous of them to do that. Like, I really appreciate them actively having the courage to show that part of themselves to me, because
Right.
that's not something that everybody gets to see.
Mhm.
And I think that's a lot of people discount like porn stars and stuff like that. Like, you got to be fucking ballsy to do that goddamn job. You have
Right.
to have
Right.
so much fucking courage to be like, I am going to be the object of your desire. And obviously people want to say that they're sluts and whores, and it's not, like, fuck that shit. Like, that is such an awful way to look at it.
Right.
I would date a sex worker in a heartbeat because I am so impressed with their profession. Like, I think
Right.
it's so amazing that they do
and
that.
their
The
confidence.
Yeah.
You know, the confidence, you know, and what's crazy is like women can do that now, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, great, way to go. But for men, it's really hard, you know, and men don't
Yeah.
do that to other men. Like, oh man, hell yeah, you look amazing without your shirt on, and dude, you know,
Yeah,
and
I'm
so
gonna
it's
say
like, ah,
there is a interesting dichotomy between men and women. Of course, there's always going to be a certain level of sexism, I guess. There's going to be people who are still stuck in old ideologies and things like that. But I also say that's true for people in life. Like, the appreciation that women get on the day-to-day, even unwanted attention, of course, can be very unflattering and annoying. But there are men dying to get a crumb of attention.
Right.
Just a little bit of something to feel like someone cares about them. It's one of the tragedies of our time. Honestly, I was watching a
Thank you.
TikTok the other day where it's just dudes, like, the question was like, who would you call if you were upset? And almost all these guys were like, no one. I would just
thank you.
let it fester, and it would be awful because I don't have anybody in my life who I would want to burden with my feelings. And that's so sad.
Thank
Oh,
you,
that's
Dylan.
heartbreaking.
I tell her this all the time because men, even my brother, he had something going on. He didn't even want to tell us, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm your fucking brother.
Yeah.
Like,
it's,
come on, man.
It's one of those things where nobody wants to be a burden on
Right.
anyone, right? And then, of course, there's going to be a time where you need to take personal responsibility and validation. But if you, as a man in this society, feel like you're not attractive enough, you're not fuckable enough, you're not worthy enough of being loved, you're not worthy of being heard, you're going to develop awful behaviors. You're just going to turn into something that is not desirable, something that isn't necessarily good for you or anyone around you.
Right. Well, it's really hard to love somebody that doesn't love themselves.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
That's the reason why once again, after watching and making V-Card, I was like, I understand why women didn't want to date me, because I was so fucking negative. I was so down on myself. I was so trapped in my own negative self-image of myself. And you have to fight against that every single day.
Right.
It's something that you constantly have to work at and be like, I am worthy, right? And it's very easy to not feel that at all, and especially if you're getting rejected or you're trying to live up to some unrealistic societal standard, right? Like you're not supposed to look like Chris Hemsworth. Like even Chris Hemsworth doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Like he is obviously one of the most beautiful men on the planet. But when he's Thor and he's in those movies, he has to spend months of his life turning himself into that.
Right.
This idealized version that isn't, it's a fantasy.
Right.
Because America is so primed for it, that fantasy becomes a reality. That's something that people think that they can achieve and maintain. And it isn't. I'm here to tell you that even if you are the most ripped, buff person in the world, like how much are you sacrificing for that?
Right.
I'm not going to say that I'm super happy with my body, but I would also say that I don't want to devote 8 hours of my day to turning myself into something that most women maybe don't even really like that much.
Right.
You know, like they might looking at it on the surface, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make me any more desirable mentally.
Nope.
It doesn't make me any more better at communicating. It doesn't make me any better as a partner when it comes to actively showing how I share my love and all these other things. Having a good physique is just a feather in a cap.
You know what was an eye-opener for me is I, oddly enough, never liked skinny guys. Kenji was the first guy, and he doesn't consider himself skinny, but I find him...
Bro, you're pretty skinny.
He's skinny.
That's pretty funny that everybody says that.
We can do a side-by-side comparison if you like.
Compared to what I used to date, compared to other guys that I'd been with, my ex-husband, so forth, he was definitely very skinny. And at first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I was like, oh my God, he's so much... Like, there's not a lot to hug there. and then over time, I'm like... Well, and when I say over time, I mean within days and weeks. Like, I fell in love with him, obviously. You know, we were inseparable. But women don't care about men's bodies as much as men think that women care.
No, absolutely.
And, go ahead, please.
It's the same with women, I think, the reverse. Like, men don't care about women's bodies as much as we put on ourselves.
No, please.
I was going to say, you know, like, same thing, the same mindset and weird shit, you know, because I used to be the big kid in school, and like, you know, I was up there, and just over time, I just drop to where now, you know, even though everybody's like, oh, you're skinny, you know, I'm still like, but I'm really not, you know, but I am, but I'm not, you know.
I think the fallacy is that the external package is the most important thing.
Oh,
and
so
that
wrong.
is that is only important in a very limited amount of time. Being beautiful, of course, has its advantages. I'm not going to deny looking like Chris Hemsworth would be pretty fucking cool.
Right?
Like, I wouldn't say no to it. On the other hand, if that is all you have going for you, whether you be a man or a woman, that sucks. I've met so many beautiful people that were so fucking vapid and shallow that you're like, I have zero desire to spend any time with. I want to fuck you, sure.
Right.
Like on the very surface of it, it's like, yeah, physically, do my eyes want to see what you look like naked? Absolutely. But talking to you is a fucking disaster.
Right.
I do not like this.
Thank you. You know, if we're gonna fuck, shut up. Like, just don't talk.
And that's the crazy
You
thing. It's
know?
like you don't
We can't
but you
even
don't
get
want to
that
fuck
far,
that.
though. You
You
can't.
don't want to fuck that person though.
There's a no, you know, no names need to be named, but there's a vanilla girl that we know that we both are incredibly attracted to. She's absolutely gorgeous. But the second that she opens her mouth, we are like,
shut up.
there's no way, even if you were in the lifestyle, even if you were all on board with this, we would never bring you in our bedroom, because the second that you say a word, your beauty all goes away.
Beauty fades. Beauty
Right.
fades and can be corrupted really easily.
Yes.
Right.
My compassion and care as a human being isn't going to go away. It's
Exactly.
a foundational part of who I am as a person.
Right.
And
See?
also my like gift for gab and being like a genuinely nice dude. That's not going to go away.
Right.
I might gain more weight. I might lose more weight. But being a decent person, that's
Dude,
sticking around.
And your
Right.
fucking personality is there. You know, you got more than just the fucking looks. You got
Yeah,
that you
it
got a
doesn't
whole
matter.
package over there, Dylan.
So after you met your first, I don't know, I would
Conquest.
My
That's what I was gonna say.
Conquest.
That was exactly what I was.
it wasn't
first-
it wasn't a conquest. though.
No.
It was after I had my first sexual encounter.
Would you say that you were immediately open to the idea of non-monogamy?
100%. Like
Okay.
when she was describing it, I was like, "Oh, that seems like it makes sense." Like I know my family is very happy in their monogamous relationship, but I've
Mhm.
seen so many other relationships not fare so well.
Right.
Mhm.
And of course, the lifestyle has its own unique set of challenges. But also at that time, once I'd learned to love myself a little bit more, and once I had learned that sex wasn't the most important thing, it became very appealing and enticing to me to be like, well, I do want to sleep with more people, but I would also like to have an emotional connection with those people.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what the lifestyle is all about.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
really the foundational base of the lifestyle is like, you get to have sex with your friends.
Mhm.
And that's really cool.
Right.
And that
I'm
is-
all about that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% there for it. So not very long after sleeping with her and the movie came out, I met some other people who were in the lifestyle. Me and her, we weren't together. She still had her primary relationship, but we had sex one more time after that. But she was kind enough and amazing enough. I went to my first swinging club with her.
Oh,
And it
nice.
was one of those things where it was like, hey, we might not have sex tonight, but we might have sex with other people. Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. So that night I had sex with the second person I'd ever had sex with. And
oh
it
my
was,
God, that's amazing.
yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, I went very quickly from I have never had sex to losing my virginity to going to an orgy. Like it was like, it
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
You were making up for lost time.
basically. And also at that point, I wasn't the same person I was when I was making the film anymore.
Right.
Nope.
I
No.
knew who I was. I knew what I wanted. I knew how to say it better than was before. Maybe not as well as I can now. Like
Mhm.
I'm at the best place currently when it comes to my sexuality. There's still things that I'm overcoming and still things that are difficult for me. And once again, I still have to fight those things that say I'm not attractive enough or not enough. But dating has just become so difficult, especially with COVID,
Mhm.
that it's one of those things where I'm okay being single. Would I like something else? Sure. But I like who I am as a person. And if I can't find another person who can appreciate that, or maybe even not appreciate it, I found people who can appreciate it, but they're separated by distance or time.
Right.
And it's just,
Mhm.
life's complicated. It's complex. It's really
Mhm.
hard to have all the things line up.
Right.
And I think in this lifestyle you have to be okay with being single. You
Mhm.
know,
Oh, yeah.
because then you find yourself more, and you open up and you grow. And
Well, there's such fucking bullshit in the lifestyle sometimes with single men. And I get it. I understand.
right.
It's
I
hard.
I understand why those restrictions are in place.
Stigma.
Right?
Mhm.
Like, I fully understand why you don't want random dudes coming into a sex club. I fucking get it. That is a hazardous situation waiting to happen,
Mhm.
especially if they just think that this is just some fly-by-night operation where, yeah, I'm just going to fuck a bunch of people. Blah, blah. It's like, absolutely fucking not that.
Yep.
That person should never be allowed.
Right.
Mhm.
But because I am a single male, I'm not bringing any beautiful women along with me to these clubs. I have to pay more. I have to have this stigma that I'm there by my... It's like all of these other factors go into it, and you're like, hey, look, I get why those restrictions are in place. But this should be a case-by-case basis because you're treating
Yes.
me with the same level of like contempt as somebody who came in off the street who hasn't done any work on themselves.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
do not appreciate that as a person
Right.
who has been actively growing and evolving as a sexual person for years now.
Mhm.
For you to treat me as just some dude with a dick who wants to fuck things, it diminishes my growth and evolution as a person.
Thank you.
Agreed. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Right?
And it is hard. And I get it's about finding a balance because we spoke earlier about our club and the cost for single men, and he's never been because it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah, no
It's
shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not going to
it's
a
more
club
than that.
For one night.
For
yeah.
one, it's more than that.
It's raised since
It's raised
you've
Oh,
been
since
there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know.
And so it's a difficult thing, and I get it. Like, as a female, I often think when I see a single dude there, oh, God, is he going to just be one of those creepers that's awkwardly playing with himself and asking if he can suck my toes while my husband's fucking me, at the most inappropriate times?
I mean, sadly, there are people who are like that.
I
Case by case
know.
basis, though. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Gosh, come on.
But
And-
honestly, like, if you met me at a club, right, and we had just had a conversation,
Right.
right, you would probably get the sense that I am not insane.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And we frequently have it, though, where we'll see single guys come to the club, especially in groups, and they're like, having a heart attack. There's 3 or 4 of them at the door, and they're getting ready to drop over $1,000 to get into this club, and they're like, I better get laid.
Yeah, it's an expectation.
It's an expectation.
You can't have any expectations.
Yeah. And you can't. And that's another thing that, it's cost prohibitive, but it's also one of those things where if you're expecting it, as we spoke earlier,
Yeah.
get an escort. Like, get
I was
a
about to say, I can have
Right.
a much better time with an escort friend than going to the ranch.
right.
For
100%.
$400.
Yeah, for $400,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. You could have
Yeah.
a killer night.
And also, the sad thing is, those men probably haven't done the research. They don't really
Oh,
know.
no.
They know that they're horny, and they
Right.
know that there are naked women at this location.
Right.
That
that
is-
are having
Yeah,
sex.
that is the farthest they've thought about it. And
Right.
sadly, because our sex education system is so awful, and the way that we
Horrible.
speak about sex with one another is so shitty, and the way that we even communicate anything sensual, like sensuality isn't even fucking talked about. Do you know how fucking amazing it is to be sensual with someone and never fuck them?
Right.
Like, have like the ability to be like, we're gonna do everything but insertion, and this is still probably going to be the best night of your life.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because it's going to feel so good, you're going to be on a much deeper. But nobody fucking talks about that, especially in this day and age. With, like, once again, Tinder, and all this stuff is like designed for you to be 5 photos, and like that's kind of it. Like, you can maybe charm them in the messages, but if you aren't coming and looking like a Chris Hemsworth on Tinder or something like that, as a
Mhm.
man, you're going to have a hard fucking time.
Yep.
And then you're going to meet shallow women who are just looking for you because you're attractive, and vice versa. Men are going to be just looking for these women who are
Mhm.
up and willing to have sex, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not cultivating anything emotionally fulfilling in you. So you end up just having this blank, meaningless sex that you're just like, man, I thought that was going to be more fun. And it's like, how could it be?
Right.
Yeah, you have no connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, I'm just here to fuck.
You
Okay,
like to
cool.
you like to photo. Like, yeah, that doesn't
Right.
tell you anything about a person. Like, it's
Mm.
nothing.
Mhm.
Right.
Did
So-
you read the bio?
Yeah. I am all for anybody being sexually liberated enough to be like, I'm gonna have a fucking one night stand tonight. Like, fucking good for you.
Yeah.
But if you are one of those people who is good looking enough to have a one night stand and you aren't necessarily feeling fulfilled, maybe you should take a larger look at why it's not fulfilling just to fill a hole for a night, and
Right.
why it would be maybe more fulfilling to actively be like, hey, what are you into? How are these things? And it's not saying that you need to date this person or that you need to like have this profound emotional connection to them, but you should have something.
Right.
Some sort of connection.
You should enjoy each other's
Yes.
company a little bit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Have something in common.
Yeah.
Right?
I would imagine.
Gosh.
And that brings us to why we're doing the podcast, and now that also brings us to, through this growth,
Yes.
you've now started a new documentary.
I have. My second feature-length film is called More Than Monogamy, which obviously resonates with this podcast
Yes.
very much. After making V-Card and getting into the lifestyle and being in it, I was trying to figure out what I wanted my next documentary to be. And there were a couple things that were on the line, but then I realized that, like, for the time, budget, and money, and all the connections I had, making a documentary about this made the most sense. And not only that, I was actively invested in it. This is a
Yeah.
part of my life. This is something I really care about and I really want to normalize. So if I can do
Yes.
all of those things and potentially make a really good film doing it, fucking shit, I just won the lottery to a
Yeah.
certain degree.
Yes.
But being a small-time independent documentary filmmaker, let me just say, it's not the most lucrative thing that you can do in the world. I am quite poor. But I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Like, I am so happy with the choices I've made career-wise for the most part. don't get me wrong, would like to make more money just to have a little bit more stability in my
Right.
life.
Mm-hmm.
But everything aside from the money aspect of it, I love it. I get to meet and talk to people who are so interesting and so genuine and fun. And it's really rewarding to do that as a job. And that's what the film is all about. The film is a big primer. And I'm designing the film around the fact that, like, maybe you've heard about the lifestyle. Maybe you're interested in the lifestyle or opening up your relationship. Here's what you're going to run into. Like, this is what a unicorn is. This is what a rope bunny is. This is what this is the difference between polyamory and swinging. They are absolutely two different things.
Oh, yeah.
This is BDSM and kink. There are two different things to this. You're going to have to, like, I remember when I was going to clubs for the first, there are a lot of fucking information that gets thrown at you real quick.
Yes, right? And you're just like sort of, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know what this means. And then if you go onto a site like FetLife or something like that, it can be very overwhelming there as well.
Oh my gosh.
You know, when people have this laundry list of, I'm a rope bunny dom who also likes to little, and it's like, what? I don't
Are you
understand
speaking
what
Spanish?
fucking any of those things mean. So the great thing that FetLife, they do have like a glossary of terms, but that's still not enough, you know?
Right.
Like, so I thought the best thing that I could do with my experience was make a documentary that was friendly and inviting and normalized it, but also gave you a nice foundational base of information that you can hear these experts and other people in lifestyle talk about their experience, while also getting information on what these terms are, what it means, a historical context for monogamy itself, a historical context for swinging, a historical context for polyamory, and make it a thing where it's not this weird kinky thing that people do at these house parties.
Right.
behind closed doors,
behind closed
right?
doors. Because that was one of the things I always hated about documentaries that I'd seen about this subject. And there are a couple good ones, but for the most part, it was always like, look at how taboo it is.
Right.
Look at these
Yeah.
people doing this stuff. And
Well,
it's like,
And to a degree, people in the lifestyle kind of like that. Like
Yeah.
it's a little bit fun for us to go with our lifestyle friends to a vanilla bar, and we'll all be dancing, and I'm kissing on
It
him,
is.
and then all of a sudden we switch, and I'm dancing with him and kissing on him, and they're all like, "What?" And there's that spiciness and fun to it
Of
to a
course.
degree, and so I understand that. But the fact that people think that there's only one way, like, monogamy has to be the way, and you have to be dedicated to that one person, and, you're going to get married, and that's the only person you're going to have sex with for the rest of your life.
That's so sad and that's why we taught our kids this. Like, hey, we're in this.
Yeah.
There's other options out there for you guys. You don't have to be stuck in this one shitty monogamous relationship for the rest of your
it's
life.
so
Right.
incredibly limiting. And we're making this a very big point in the documentary. The lifestyle is not for like 95% of
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
This
you.
is, I know that you think it's going to be really fun,
right.
but let me tell you, there are going to be a lot of times where it isn't, and you're going to have to confront things inside yourself that you did not think that you were even capable of. You are going to hit jealousy and roadblocks and self-consciousness that you were unaware of until you see your partner getting off with somebody else and you go, holy fuck, this makes me really upset. And even though we agreed with this and I am on board with this, I don't know how to verbalize this yet. So we need to have a conversation and go
Right.
through all this stuff. And on the face of it, sleeping with other people sounds so fun, right? It
And
sounds
spicy, and
and
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And it is. There's no denying that that is a great part of this. But it is so much more than sex. It is communication. It's community. It's care. It's understanding. It's having the ability to recognize that you may not be the perfect thing for your partner in a specific situation. That's a hard thing to confront in yourself, right? Especially with the narrative that we've been fed our
Right.
entire lives. That you're
Mhm.
supposed to be this monolith for your partner, that you can be everything at once all the time. It's impossible.
Right.
Right.
There's no possible way for you to sustain that over the course of a 50, 60, 70-year-long marriage. Like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, that is so hard. And the
Right.
idea that you as a person who has evolved, and especially men, to spread your seed around everything. The idea that evolutionary instinct to be attracted to other people would just be like, well, I guess this got turned off because there's a ring on this now, is
Right.
fucking dumb.
Right.
Yeah, the jealousy thing. Like I tell my wife, like, I don't have two dicks, or
Yeah.
that's one thing she likes. But and
Yeah.
so you got to confront that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. You have to, I think, and this kind of goes back to the courageous thing I was talking about. It takes a lot of courage to admit that you're not enough sometimes. not because you're not enough as a person, but because you want to be fulfilled by more than one penis, right?
Mhm.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing to be ashamed of about it. But like you just said, I don't have a second dick to provide for that specific filling of a hole. I am not equipped to do that.
I don't have.
So
I
we
don't
need to have
another
a very
vagina.
serious and open and frank discussion about how we're going to bring in another person that we trust, that can make you feel fulfilled and beautiful, and can make me feel not jealous and hurt that you
Right.
want to have that experience. And you know what? If you as a couple can do that, that is so beautiful, right? That's
Mhm.
so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it nice to know that you trust your partner enough to be like, hey, I need this. I
Right.
want this. And I don't want you to be excluded from it. I want you to
Mhm.
be a part of it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and
But
that-
knowing yourself is a big part of it. Like,
that's right.
we've sat at this very table with my sister, and it was
My
it was
Lord.
a contentious conversation after lots of alcohol. But she knows, like, I'm not good at sharing. I know that I'm very jealous, and I know it's something that I would never be comfortable seeing him with another girl.
This is your
And
sister.
yeah,
Just
and
to
she
clarify.
said, and I would never feel comfortable, being with another man in front of him. And she just 100%, and I'm okay with that. Like,
Then you
she's
shouldn't be in the lifestyle.
and
Mhm.
I'm
Like, yeah.
we've always said on the show and multiple times, we have no problem with monogamy.
Yeah.
There's
No.
no problem.
Monogamy is a beautiful
Very beautiful.
way to express your love for another person.
Mhm.
And as I just said, it is for 95% of the population the way that you should do it.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know if I'd agree with the 95% number. I think that's a little high.
I don't know.
I think
don't
that
know.
I think especially now, and we kind of briefly spoke about this earlier, but in the younger generations, they're
Oh, they're
much more open.
yes.
I would say maybe for older generations it's not, but maybe, you know what? Maybe the needle is moving to like 80% or so. It doesn't even matter what percentage you put on it.
Right.
It's just not right for a lot of people.
It isn't.
No, not at all.
And it's a matter of knowing what you're comfortable with, who you are as a person, what you can handle, and like you said, communicating. Communicating is huge. Whether you're in a monogamous relationship or not,
Mhm.
communicating your needs to your partner, if you can't do that well, you're not
Yeah.
going to have any type of relationship
No.
that's worth
Yeah.
having.
It doesn't matter if you're young or old.
Right.
You know.
It's so important, and it's so left by the wayside too. So many times, like many of the main reasons that a relationship isn't working is because the people aren't talking to each other.
Right.
They're not saying, "Hey, this upset me. This wasn't," or doing it in a way that acknowledges that you might have been wrong. You
Mhm.
know, it's another thing. Like, yeah, maybe you did hurt your partner's feelings, and you kind of have to acknowledge that you fucked up.
Hmm.
And
Having
acknow-
productive
Yeah,
conversations.
and
Mhm.
acknowledging that you fucked up can be really uncomfortable. It's not
Right.
fun to have those conversations,
Yeah.
but they're necessary, and it shows that you
Mhm.
respect the person enough to be like, "Hey, I hear where you're coming from. I
Right.
know why you're upset, and I want to work past that. I want to work with you to understand how I can be better at it."
You know
And
that,
the reason that I say that it's 95% is probably a high number, because when you look statistically at how many people are adulterers, how many people cheat, and
But I
that
don't.
number,
But that's not the lifestyle, though.
that's not the
cheating on
lifestyle.
somebody.
I
Mhm.
agree. But I think that a lot of times, if there was more communication and understanding amongst their partners, that wouldn't have to be a route that they went. It's something that they're looking for physically that they could still get. There a lot of times when you hear somebody say, "Oh, my spouse cheated," as soon as the other person finds out, they're like, "Well, that person doesn't mean anything to me. It was just sex. It was just, it was just a physical thing." That's hard for a woman or a man to wrap their brain around when you're hit from it, after
Yeah.
after the fact. Whereas if somebody comes to me and says, "Well, I've only had 3 partners in my life, and I'd like to try other things," and is more communicative about it, then that can possibly work in that relationship.
I would agree, except I think in the long term, it's very hard for people to stay in the lifestyle. I think for a lot of people, the thrill of it is nice
Mhm.
and amazing, but I do find that, a lot of couples get into it, once again, because they think it's going to be all this fun stuff, and they're not going to have to confront any of these things, and then they slowly but surely realize that it is much more complex than
Mhm.
they're giving it credit for. So maybe it isn't 95%, but I would say that you got to be prepared. Like,
Mhm.
like it is not something that you should get into on a whim.
Right. I agree.
Yes.
It's
Or
not
to fix a problem.
Yeah, it's not a way to fix a relationship.
Nope.
It's not a way to strengthen your connections. Far from it. It's going to test your relationships more than you ever thought possible.
Mhm.
You know what's great about it, though, and we talked about this again earlier, is that it's fluid.
Yeah.
You can come into the
Oh, that's right.
lifestyle, and we talked about this even before we got into the lifestyle. Listen, if we try this and we're not both on board with it and we don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
and one of us disagrees, we're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexuality, much like gender and other things, it's not a fixed state.
Right.
And everybody thinks it is. A
You
lot
are-
of people think it is.
You are continually evolving. Like,
Right.
I've heard so many stories of older people finally admitting that they were gay or a lesbian and something. And it's
Right.
like they finally had the courage and saw society changing enough for them to acknowledge this deep-seated part of themselves that they'd kept hidden. And that's
Sometimes even from themselves.
yeah, sometimes
You
even from
know,
themselves.
Yeah.
And
it
that's
sucks.
very true about the lifestyle too. It's one of those things where it's like maybe you got into it and you thought you were a swinger and you were like, I just want to fuck people. This is fun. And then you were like, oh no, I need more of an emotional connection. I actually really need a pod of people who I do this with and have a stronger, deeper emotional connection with. Cool.
Mhm.
Maybe you get into it and realize I don't even really like the sex, but I love when people beat the shit out of me with a leather rope.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the thing I like, and maybe I can bring that into my own bedroom without ever having to involve anyone but my primary partner. There are just so many ways to do it.
Right.
But what you have to do is understand that it's going to change. You're going to make
Mhm.
decisions. Things are going to happen. You're going to meet people who have fetishes, like we talked about, who are not your fetishes.
Right.
And that you are going to have to be very kind and gentle and be like, hey, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you do. I respect that you do. That's just not for me.
Right.
That's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can have the confidence and also the tact to be with a person and go, I respect you, I hear you, but that is not what I want. That is a very admirable quality to have.
Right.
And that's a very admirable quality to have outside in the real world too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sell yourself short in business or in any other aspect because you're not getting what you want.
Right.
And obviously
Mhm.
don't be 100% selfish about it. Be a compassionate, caring human being in all aspects of your life, including your sexuality.
Right. So doing the film, what do you feel like at this point, and I know you still have a lot of recording to do, and
Yeah, we've gotten about 40 interviews so far, so we've still got a long way to go.
so what has been the most eye-opening part of learning about the lifestyle?
Oh, I mean, hearing some of the stories of people who've been like fired or ostracized for their sexuality has been really upsetting, of course, because I have been very lucky as a cisgendered white male to kind of float through the world on
Mhm.
maybe a little bit more of a cloud than other people have. But yeah, hearing people be demonized or treated differently because they happen to like to sleep with other people and they're still
Right.
together. It's like crazy to me. But like you said before in the car, it's like if they had cheated on their spouse, everybody would just pick a side and be like, oh, okay, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they're open and communicating with their partner and being like, we're doing this together, people are like, that's fucking evil. And you're like,
Right.
What?
What? Right?
Well, like, yeah, like, no, that's like the best possible outcome of this situation. They realized that they were going to cheat, and then we're like, hey, let me not cheat, and let's, like, maintain our
Yeah.
relationship.
And,
Right.
and both people get something out of it.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like, it's crazy to me when I hear people who are, like, so against it. And, of course, then you do the research about monogamy. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, monogamy is this kind of structure that was put into place for property,
Mhm.
because that's what marriage really was in the beginning. So it was really just a way of transferring land. So that's obviously not the most romantic thing in the world. And then,
Right.
then you go back even further and you're like, well, oh shit, almost nothing in nature is monogamous.
No.
So
Thank you.
that's like a little troubling right there. Then you go, and then it raises all these questions about like, why is this the thing that we chose? And then it kind of goes back to the fact that people are inherently jealous and they can't deal with it. So it is probably a system that works maybe a little bit better in the short term, or that's what we thought anyway, because that's the way that we structured society. It's just very complex.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. And that's one of the things I'm like slightly worried about the documentary, because it's like, I obviously want to give this information in the most entertaining and fun way possible. But I also want it to be educational. I don't want it to just be a cakewalk. And getting that right can be a heavy burden, right? I don't want to just be, I don't want to just be some like person who's like, sexuality's cool, isn't it? Watch my movie. It's like, no,
Right.
I've got like a pretty big job to be like,
You do.
hey, this is normal and this is fine and this is acceptable.
God, you
And
gotta toe
here's
that
why.
line. You definitely
Yeah.
gotta toe that line. Oh
Yeah.
man.
It's a real pain in the ass.
So now doing this, what are you looking most forward to?
I don't know. I had my very first dominatrix session a
Oh.
month ago. We filmed that. It's probably not going to make it into the film because we're kind of taking it in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
But it was amazing to experience that, especially because I kind of knew at the front of it that wasn't going to be my thing. And once I had it, I was like, definitely not for me. I understand why people love it so much more now. That
Right.
like I couldn't really get it before. I was like, why would you want somebody to beat the fuck out of you? Like I didn't really get it. But then after speaking with the dominatrix and having the session, I understood so much better than I did before. And that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's like, not only do I understand that this isn't for me, but I have a greater appreciation for people do it professionally and do it personally. And I wish them nothing but the best of luck. And I totally get them more. Like, I understand them on a deeper level now. Apart from that, I'm just looking forward to speaking to more people. Like, that's the best part of documentaries, is like actively getting to do kind of what we're doing.
Mhm.
Right? I met you today,
Mhm.
and I already think we're kind of like fast friends. It's
Yes.
fun, right?
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, meeting people is really cool. Getting to tell their story is really nice. And at the end of the day, if I open up one person's eyes to making this more normal, making this more acceptable, same thing with virginity. Kind of, if I turn one dude who is potentially going to become an incel away from that, like,
You did your fucking job.
cool.
Hell yeah.
Like,
That's
if I
awesome.
showed you an alternative to the thing that you thought was the only way that you could do it, I did it. Like, I did a good thing, and
Right.
I'm really glad that I did it.
God, I love your professionalism.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
So right now you're doing fundraising for the film.
Yeah. So, fun fact: making documentaries about sexuality, not super lucrative. Like, making documentaries in general is usually a tricky proposition. They're cheaper to make than a normal film, but they never get like theatrical releases. They're not money making machines. So
I would so go see. Like, I'm
I
such
know.
a dork.
See,
I
yeah,
documentaries every day.
Well,
He'll
this-
wake
Oh,
up
yeah.
and he'll be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"It's 8 o'clock in the morning. What are you watching?"
This is
And
the thing: people love documentaries. They
I love
them to death.
Yes.
But once again, when was the last time you saw one in a theater?
Never.
Oh yeah, never. Yeah, they're all on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are ways to make money with it, of course, just like anything. But I'm doing this 100% basically independently. I've got some friends helping me shoot the interviews here in Denver, but
Mhm.
for New York and California, I'm shooting that by myself,
Oh,
alone.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Um,
You're doing the legwork.
yeah, I'm doing everything that I need to do to keep costs down, but two, I just can't afford to bring people on. Like,
Mhm.
Right.
I do not have the physical means to bring a person onto the production and give them a stable salary.
Right.
So it's like, if you can donate, and I'm looking directly at the camera right now. Hi. If this is a thing that you think is important and that you want to be promoted and seen, please consider donating. And if you don't want to donate to me, donate to another cause that does sexuality, education, and research and all those things. It is vitally important that you do that. But obviously, please give me some money so I can make this fucking movie. I'm going to make the movie regardless, but it would be really helpful if I didn't have to do everything on duct tape and hope.
So where can they donate at?
We are running a Seed and Spark campaign right now.
Okay.
So you can go to Seed and Spark and look up More Than Monogamy, or you can just go to www.morethanmonogamy.com, and there is a link to the fundraiser there as well.
Okay,
Hell
perfect. We'll have that on the
yes.
bottom of the screen, and
Yes,
Nice.
please.
definitely, we're all about supporting that. And
Hell
the
yeah.
education piece of it is huge, because I think I know for a fact once people meet us and then they find out, oh, you guys do that, their whole mindset around it changes, because they see our relationship and how stable it is and how we have a great foundation and the
Mhm.
trust and the communication and the
Yeah.
love.
You
And
have to tell people.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
have to know that it's fine. They have to
Right.
know that you're good parents, that you care about people. That
Yeah.
like that
You have fucking morals.
just because you have a deeper or more intense sex drive than somebody else in no way changes who you are as like a person.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane.
Exactly.
It's so crazy to think that, right? Like, the idea that a woman would be lesser because she wants to sleep with more men or have like a gangbang. Like, that's so dumb. Or the thing that a man would be lesser if he wants to experience a man because he's bisexual. Like,
Right.
like fuck that. Are you kidding me? Like, it's fine. It's
Right.
totally cool. It's in their bedroom.
Thank you.
Nobody's confronting you with this. Nobody's
Right. And if
Thank
you
you.
don't like it, that's fine. Scroll
Yeah.
past it. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to
Well, it's like
listen to it. You don't,
it's the old George Carlin thing. There are two knobs on the radio. One turns
Yeah.
it off, and the other one changes the station.
Yeah.
So, like, if you are fixated on this, if you're fixated on the idea that these people are having this sex that they fucking like, and you are just upset about it, maybe you should examine why that makes you so upset. Are
Right.
you potentially not having the sex that you would like to have? And maybe, just maybe, you should explore why you're not having that sex. Maybe there's a societal reason why you've been conditioned to think that sex is wrong, or you shouldn't
Right.
enjoy yourself, or that women are objects, or any of these other things that society has told you throughout the course of your life that are inherently wrong
Right.
and need to change. And you need to confront within yourself. And I know that is hard. I know how difficult it is to change your own mind. But it is vitally important that you do so that you don't make everybody around you miserable.
Right. Agreed. I love that because, again, if it doesn't affect you and it's not getting in the way or hurting anybody that you love, and you're against it, that's fine. Move on. We don't,
It's
Yeah.
very weird to think that you would be upset about somebody doing something in their own house
right.
that they are not promoting in any way.
Right.
Like, you are going out of your way to be upset about something that they are keeping hidden for
Right.
the most
Yes.
part.
Yes. Thank you.
But on the flip side, even if they're not keeping it hidden, why are you upset that you're seeing my friend holding two men's hands at the same time?
Yeah.
Like, both men are okay with this. They
Mhm.
obviously know what's going on. They're, she's okay with it. Like, the fact that we put such a huge bearing on ourselves to be worried about what other people are doing and how they're living their lives, and even allow it to affect us or get us upset is absolutely ridiculous to me.
From a religious standpoint, I understand why people would be upset with it. From a sociological standpoint, I get it. Monogamy is the primary relationship that you know and understand. Once again, as you just said, like, how's it hurting you? Like, honestly, at the end, how is this affecting you? Like, you as a person, seeing somebody, like, holding hands or kissing, like, any of those things, does it make you uncomfortable? Like, I mean, that's unfortunate that it makes you uncomfortable, and we don't want you to feel uncomfortable, but it's also an open space where
Right.
anybody can participate, that anybody can do these things. And if you as a person want to shut that down, you really need to examine why that is. You really need to take a good hard look and go, why do I feel so strongly about this? Why do I feel this is so wrong? Why do I not want these people to live their best lives, right? And that's the same thing with, like, the trans community as well. It's like, I don't understand. If somebody wants to change themselves into the version that they see, right? That they in their heart of hearts feel is who they are. The idea that you would want to keep somebody from doing that is awful.
Right.
It's so
Thank you.
awful to think that you would be like, just because it doesn't conform to what I understand or what I personally feel is right for me, I want them to be denied the ability to do it for themselves.
Right.
That's awful. That is a very closed-minded and a really shitty way to look at the world. And, of course, there are issues, especially with younger trans individuals, right? Because if you are a child and you're taking these hormones that could potentially alter you for the rest of your life, that is a hard decision for a parent, right? To be like, I mean, they're not an adult yet. They can't necessarily know the ramifications of altering these hormones at such a young age. This could potentially fuck up their life. If they ever at some point are like, maybe this wasn't who I was, know? Because you're still figuring out I'm still figuring out who I am. I'm 30 years old. I think everybody's still figuring out who they are. But for any trans individual who has known from day one that they were trapped inside of a body that didn't feel like theirs, fucking let them get into the body that they fucking want.
Right.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. And
It's not hurting you.
Yeah, and
It's not hurting anyone. It's quite literally helping society because they're going to be happier people. They're going to be so much more joyous and fulfilled within themselves, and that will probably translate into them being more joyous and happy within the context of the greater world.
I love that you came here.
I know.
love that. Thank you so much.
Dylan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for, being in line with our mission and why we're doing the podcast and why we come here every week.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. This has been super fun, and I could talk about this until the end of time, but it's also really hot in here.
I know, right?
Well, again, thanks for coming. We will definitely post the website.
Yes,
we'll
please.
have it down in the links. And if you can, please support him in any way that you can. Donate.
Please donate, guys. That would be really fucking helpful. The best way to support the film is by donating money to it. That's just the bare bones essential of making any film.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Good
well,
stuff.
Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for being so positive and sharing your story.
Yeah.
And Ishes, don't forget you can check us out online.
YouTube. Yeah.
iTunes.
Oh yeah, iTunes.
Spotify. We're all
wherever. Would you say Breaker? One of them. There you go.
Breaker. Podcast Republic is one of our very popular ones apparently right now. Oh, iHeartRadio.
Nice.
Very
Thank you.
nice. Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
So check us out on all those places. Like and subscribe, and make sure that you please just spread the love. That's what we're all about.
Love is love, baby.
If you have some hate that you want to send our way, keep it to yourselves.
You know who you are.
Otherwise, if you have anything great that you want to say or add to this conversation, please don't feel free to reach out to us. And again, thank you, Dillon, for coming. Thanks for
having me on.
enticing us with your new movie, and we can't wait till it comes out and we can experience it.
Oh,
I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh yeah, right on.
Thank you.